Okay, so now my son is in bed and not able to disturb me. Let me try this screencast again. So, as I was saying before, basically people seem quite interested in how I organise stuff, and they were quite interested in hearing about OmniFocus and my getting things done approach to things, which is based on David Allen's book of the same name. But I thought I would go on and talk about email. And as you can see from my email client, I'm a little bit unusual compared to quite a few people, namely Marcus and Chris, that I work with, in the fact that my inbox is largely empty. There's not really a lot in it. And that's because I work on a principle which Merlin Mann developed of Inbox Zero. If you do a search on Inbox Zero, you'll find a brilliant presentation that he gave on the subject. And he's actually writing a book on it right now. So what the basic principle of this is that as emails come in, at periods through the day, you check your inbox, not too regularly, but a couple of times a day, 3 times a day, whatever is right for you, and you check your inbox, and then you process everything in your inbox, and you do one of several things. First of all, if it's going to take 2 minutes to reply to it or less, then reply and deal with it straight away and archive it off. If it's going to take more than 2 minutes and needs to be replied to, then what I do is I create a new task in OmniFocus. So in this case, we've got an email about somebody who wants a consultancy clinic. So arrange consultancy clinic. And then what I do is I drag that email across into there and save it. So that email now has disappeared, or the task has been created in OmniFocus with all my other tasks. That then leaves this email remaining, and I need to do something with it. Well, there's obviously traditionally what you would do is you would file it away in various folders, but actually over the years I've discovered that I don't really use the folders a lot, and so I've started just putting things into archives. Just a big dumping ground basically where all of the stuff that I receive goes. So but I to speed up the process, I use keyboard shortcuts, and I've installed a plugin for Mail called Mail Act-On. What that enables me to do is select my email and press, in my case, Control A, and that will then file it away in my archive folder. Okay, so that's how I deal with email. The other thing you might have noticed with that email is that it was color coded, it was green. And I use color coding to differentiate different types of emails. So green means that it's been an inquiry that's come via the website. And I use different color coding for different things. Just kind of helps me organize stuff a little bit better. So you can see down the side that I've got my archive folder here. I've got a few other folders, but generally it's just the archive folder and my mailing list. So I'm subscribed to several mailing lists. So as emails come in, I've got a rule that automatically stuff relating to the mailing list is automatically put in the appropriate folder, and I can deal with it as and when I want. But most stuff comes in via the inbox. Now, if we flip over to OmniFocus now, you can see that Arrange Consultancy Clinic is here. And what's quite interesting, even though I've moved the location of the email, I can still double click on this and bring up that email. So here it is. That's the email that I had in my inbox earlier. And so the massive advantage of that is that even if stuff is filed away, I can get at it. The other thing that I do is if I send an email asking for somebody else to do something, for somebody else to take an action, what I'll do in OmniFocus is also create another task saying chase this person. I copy the email into the notes field, and I set a start date of a week, 2 weeks, a month, or whatever I feel is appropriate to chase them in OmniFocus, and then it disappears, and then in the 2 weeks, a month, or whatever else later, it then reappears and I can act on it again. So that's basically how I deal with email. The only other thing to mention is you might go, well, if everything's filed away in archive, how do you ever find anything? Well, obviously search is the answer to that. But I also run smart folders. So I've got a few smart folders here from you know, stuff relating to the book that I'm writing, from a particular person, from a particular client, etc. And I find those smart folders a quick way of getting stuff without having to manually drag emails into appropriate folders the whole time. So I try and automate it as much as possible. I use the color coding, I use the mail acton to enable me to file stuff with a keyboard shortcut, and I combine it with OmniFocus. But the key is keep that inbox empty. If you can respond in less than a couple of minutes, do so immediately. If not, turn it into a task and deal with it later. So hopefully that's a useful tip.